The three elements that comprise social presence are affective expression, interaction and open communication, and group cohesion. So those are sort of the three indicators, the three areas under which there are indicators for each of those sort of areas. And, we've done tons of research. We've asked faculty and students lots and lots of questions about each of those areas to try and understand what exactly is going on in the classroom and in the online classroom, and how people are interpreting different things that either are present or not present in those areas. So in the area of affective expression, one of the things is building a sense of class community, and getting one of the ways that you can do that is to help people to get to know each other, get to know their classmates. And so you want to promote a sense of belonging. You want to establish trust and really have people know and understand that the instructor is there and is a live person and is a real person, multidimensional, not just an online computer screen or a robot or something, but to really begin to build trust both with the instructor and with the others in the class, establish a sense of class community, as I said, that people are actually real. And some of the ways that this can be done is by instructors and students, by giving students permission and by giving faculty an awareness that helps them to develop their online digital persona, their voice, their personality, so that they come off as a real person. And it doesn't mean that they have to be chummy or that they have to be different than how they are, because everybody's different. But it does mean that they have to put some energy into understanding that there is a barrier or a wall between them and their students, that they have to make some effort in order to reach through. So that computer screen is, this wall, and there's an instructor on one side and students on the other, and they're not there at the same time. And so there has to be energy in terms of the design of the course and how the course is facilitated in order to bridge that gap, essentially. And so you can do that with humor, you can do that with self-disclosure, and you can do that by expressing emotion in some ways. I can tell you sort of examples of how I do it in my own class and how I would recommend that faculty do it in their classes. A course should have some sort of an ice-breaking activity. Before you get into your teacher speak or assignments or whatever, there needs to be some way to break the ice with the students. And that begins to establish some trust, establish people as real people, establish a sense of community when you get to know each other. What I do is I have a voice thread that I use, and VoiceThread is just a tool. There's lots of different ways to do this. It doesn't have to be that way. It could also be with a plain discussion. But what I like about VoiceThread is that it gives you a little icon picture so you can immediately see a person, and it gives you the option of giving your own introduction and conducting your own conversation either in text, audio, or video. So you have multiple ways of expressing yourself, and it gives the students choice. And also the multimedia aspect of it is more engaging. And you can set up sort of slides or pictures or videos or whatever as the centerpiece around which this ice-breaking conversation happens. And so it really seems like more of a conversation than static text being passed back and forth, which can also be made engaging, but it's just a tool that I think is quite effective. What I do is I actually interviewed my daughter, who I think was 7 at the time. I asked her questions about me. So, like, what's my favorite color? What do I like to do? What do I do for my job? A bunch of questions. I had written them out beforehand. And I asked her those questions. And so I interviewed her about me. And then I posted that as my introductory video in my voice thread. And this is accessible. I can give you the link if you want to see it. It's public, so anyone can see it. And I find that it's extremely effective at communicating that I'm a multidimensional person. I'm not just what I do. I'm also a mom, and I also like chocolate, and, I have, it shows a little bit of the relationship that I have with my daughter. It's in my living room, so it shows my house and my dog, and my husband walks by in his slippers, you know what I mean? And so it's a very cool, informal way to give the sense of who I am through my daughter's eyes. Have the students create profiles, and most course management systems or social networks give you the ability to create a profile, and that's another way you can establish individuality, personality, attach a face to a name. Like I said, use discussions for a plain vanilla type of introduction. And what I would recommend in an introduction, I actually do a combination, like I do a discussion introduction and I do the voice thread. I ask students to, tell me a little bit about what they're expecting in the course, a little bit about themselves, a little bit about what they're expecting, a little bit what they already know, because some of them have been online students before, some of them may have taught before, or had other online experiences, and what they learned from those experiences, and then what they're expecting in the class. And so we get a little bit of the social stuff, and then we get a little preliminary stuff about expectations for the course. You have to facilitate a way for people to form distinct impressions of each other and of the instructor. And so you can do that in terms of the voice that you use when you communicate with your students. And so if you speak in kind of scholarese using third person, you're distancing yourself from the student in addition to there already being a physical distance and that fourth wall with the computer screen distance. So if you address an individual student, it is an easier way to demonstrate connection than if you talk to the entire class. Because really, on the other side of the screen, at any one point is an individual, not an entire class of people. So instead of saying you students should do X, Y, and Z, it should be you, the student, using individual names would be good too. The other is like your voice and your tone. And I'm very informal, and I try to be conversational, and I don't sweat in discussion things like grammar or punctuation or whatever, and I model that for my students. So when we're having the informal discussions, it's totally okay with me to be very informal in terms of tone, and so I'm modeling that, and so that shows the students that they can be that way too. That also helps to build connection and have this sense that you're having a conversation as opposed to performing for the instructor. The other thing that I would recommend in terms of affective instruction is having a place in the course that allows the students to informally talk about stuff that's not related to the course. So having some kind of a dedicated bulletin board space, so you can call it whatever you want, coffee shop or coffee break or whatever, but just a space where it's clear to the students that they can go there to socially interact with their classmates, just like they would before a face-to-face class, or in the halls, or in the cafeteria or whatever. They should have a space where they could go and ask kind of interact socially with their classmates.